Before you step into 2026, pause. Not because you are tired, but because you are responsible. A year does not change your life. A decision does. Time is innocent. It gives equally to everyone. What separates fulfilled lives from frustrated ones is not luck, not privilege, not even talent. It is intention. Entering a new year without a plan is like boarding a train without knowing the destination. You will move, yes, but movement without direction only leads to exhaustion. Planning is not about controlling life. It is about respecting it. When you plan, you are telling yourself, my life is worth thinking about. You are choosing clarity over chaos. Too many people wake up every morning reacting instead of designing. They respond to messages, moods, and emergencies, but never respond to their own potential. Education teaches us subjects, but life demands self-direction. And that direction begins with asking one honest question: where am I actually going? Goals are not numbers written to impress others. Goals are promises you make to your future self. If a goal does not connect to your values, it will not survive difficulty. That is why many people quit, not because they are weak, but because their goals were borrowed. When your goals come from comparison, they drain you. When they come from purpose, they fuel you. Purpose is not loud. It is quiet, personal, and deeply rooted in who you are becoming, not what you are trying to prove. Focus is not about doing more, it is about choosing better. Every yes you say costs you a no somewhere else. Focus requires courage, the courage to disappoint distractions so you don't disappoint your destiny. In an age where everything demands attention, focus becomes an ethical decision. You train your brain every day by what you allow into it. If you feed it noise, expect confusion. If you feed it intention, expect clarity. Focus is not found, it is practiced. Motivation is emotional, discipline is educational. Motivation will visit you, discipline must be built. Systems carry you on days when emotions fail. A plan is not a rigid cage, it is a supportive structure. It removes decision fatigue and replaces chaos with consistency. When your actions are planned, your energy is protected. You stop negotiating with excuses and start executing with confidence. Failure is not the opposite of success, it is part of the curriculum. Every setback is information. The problem is not failing. The problem is failing without learning. When you reflect, you grow. When you repeat without reflection, you remain stuck. A planned life does not avoid failure. It anticipates it and prepares recovery strategies. This is education at its highest level, learning from life itself. And finally, responsibility. No one is coming to plan your life for you. Guidance can help, inspiration can ignite, but direction must be chosen. When you take responsibility, you reclaim your power. You stop blaming circumstances and start building capacity. Responsibility is not a burden, it is freedom. Because the moment you accept that your life is yours, you gain the authority to change it. Do not enter 2026 hoping things will be different. Hope is beautiful, but it is incomplete without action. Enter with intention. Enter with a plan that reflects your values, protects your focus, and respects your time. Because a planned life is not a perfect life, but it is a conscious one. And consciousness is where real transformation begins. Before you look at dates, calendars, or countdowns, you must look inward, because speed without clarity is the fastest way to get lost. Many people are busy every day, exhausted every night, and yet deeply unsure why they are doing what they are doing. Movement feels productive, but direction is what makes it meaningful. If you don't decide where you are going, life will decide for you. And life is not always gentle in its choices. Clarity is not something you wait for. It is something you demand from yourself with honesty and courage. Clarity begins when you stop lying to yourself about what you want and why you want it. It requires sitting with uncomfortable questions instead of escaping into noise. Ask yourself what truly matters, not what looks impressive, not what others expect, not what social media celebrates, but what gives you peace when no one is watching. Without this clarity, goals become heavy, because you are carrying someone else's dreams on your shoulders. With clarity, Even hard work feels lighter because it has meaning. A year does not need more tasks. It needs better direction. When you are clear, you waste less energy explaining yourself, defending yourself, or doubting yourself. You wake up knowing what deserves your attention and what does not. Clarity protects your time, your emotions, and your self-respect. It teaches you to say no without guilt and yes without fear. People think clarity limits them, but in truth, it liberates them from confusion. Do not confuse clarity with certainty. You don't need every answer, you need a strong why. The path will change, the plan will adjust, but direction keeps you grounded. When storms come, and they will, you don't panic as easily, because you know where you are headed. Clarity becomes your inner compass when external circumstances try to shake you. It reminds you that detours are not failures, they are part of the journey. Education is not just about learning skills, it is about learning yourself. If you don't understand your strengths, weaknesses, values, and limits, you will keep repeating cycles. Clarity turns experiences into lessons instead of wounds. It allows you to learn faster, recover quicker, and grow deeper. You stop reacting emotionally and start responding intelligently. This is where maturity begins. Entering a new year without clarity is like planting seeds without knowing the season. You may work hard, but the results will confuse you. Clarity aligns effort with timing. It helps you choose what to build now and what to postpone. It teaches patience without killing ambition. When you are clear, you stop rushing because you trust your direction. Clarity is an act of self-respect. It says, my life deserves intention. My time deserves purpose. My energy deserves protection. You don't need to prove anything to anyone when you are clear, because clarity creates quiet confidence. And that confidence does not shout, it stands firm, even when the world is loud, even when doubts try to enter, even when progress feels slow. Because you are no longer running blindly, you are walking consciously, guided by purpose, grounded in awareness, and deeply connected to the reason you began, knowing that direction will always matter more than speed, especially when the road ahead demands patience, resilience, and faith in the unseen work happening within you as you move forward deliberately, one intentional step at a time, aware that clarity is not a destination, but a daily practice of choosing alignment over chaos, truth over comfort, and purpose over pressure. Goals should never feel like chains around your heart. They should feel like direction for your soul. The moment a goal starts suffocating you, it is a sign that it was created from pressure, not purpose. Many people set goals because they are afraid of being left behind, afraid of not looking successful enough, afraid of disappointing others, and fear is a terrible architect for a future. When fear designs your goals, burnout becomes inevitable. Meaning is what gives goals life, and without meaning, even achievement feels empty. You must learn to separate ambition from noise. Ambition is quiet and consistent, while noise is loud and impatient. Noise demands quick results, public validation, and constant comparison. Meaning, on the other hand, asks deeper questions. Why does this goal matter to me? Who am I becoming while pursuing it? What kind of life will this goal support? Not just what kind of image will it create? Goals with meaning do not rush you, they ground you. They do not steal your peace, they protect it. Education teaches us to chase grades, titles, and timelines, but life teaches us to chase alignment. When your goal align with your values, discipline becomes easier because you are not forcing yourself forward, you are being pulled by purpose. You don't wake up every day excited, but you wake up convinced. Conviction lasts longer than motivation. This is why some people survive long journeys without applause, because their goals were never meant to impress the world, they were meant to fulfill a calling. Pressure-based goals are heavy because they depend on external approval. If people praise you, you feel worthy. If they criticize you, you collapse. Meaning-based goals are stable because they are rooted internally. Even when no one understands you, you continue. Even when progress is slow, you stay committed. You stop measuring success by speed and start measuring it by growth. This shift changes everything. You become patient with yourself, but still demanding of your effort. A meaningful goal also respects your humanity. It allows rest without guilt and growth without self-hate. It understands that consistency is more powerful than intensity. When goals are realistic and purposeful, they educate you instead of punishing you. You learn self-trust. You learn how to listen to your limits without surrendering your dreams. This balance is not weakness, it is wisdom. Many people abandon goals not because they failed, but because the goal never belonged to them in the first place. When a goal is borrowed, it drains you. When it is chosen consciously, it strengthens you. You stop asking, "What will people say?" and start asking, "Will this help me become better, calmer, stronger, wiser?" That question alone can save years of misdirected effort. Goals with meaning create resilience. When obstacles appear, you don't quit at the first sign of discomfort, because you understand what is at stake. You are not chasing success, you are building a life. And a life built on meaning does not collapse under pressure. It adapts, it learns, it evolves. You stop proving and start becoming. You stop running and start progressing with intention. And as you move forward, your goals no longer shout at you to hurry, they whisper to you to stay true, to stay aligned, to stay patient, reminding you that a meaningful path may be slower, but it is deeper, more sustainable, and infinitely more rewarding than any achievement driven by fear, comparison, or the need to be seen. Because the greatest success is not reaching a destination, but recognizing yourself in the journey, feeling proud of the person you are becoming, as each step reflects purpose rather than pressure. Focus is not something you magically find one day, it is something you train every single day with intention and discipline. Your mind goes where you allow it to go, and if you do not guide it, it will wander into distraction, comparison, and unnecessary noise. Every morning you wake up, your attention is already being pulled in 100 directions. And if you don't choose consciously, your energy will be spent on things that do not move your life forward. Focus begins with the courage to decide what truly matters and the strength to protect it. You must understand that focus is not about doing everything. It is about doing the right things at the right time. Saying yes to everything is not kindness, it is self-betrayal. Each unnecessary commitment steals time from your priorities. Focus demands boundaries, and de-boundaries demand self-respect. When you learn to say no without explanation, you create space for growth. People may not understand your discipline, but clarity does not require permission. Your brain is constantly learning patterns. If you train it to chase instant pleasure, it will resist deep work. If you train it to tolerate discomfort, it will reward you with progress. Focus is built in moments when you choose effort over ease, silence over scrolling, and presence over distraction. These small decisions educate your nervous system to stay engaged instead of escaping. Over time, focus becomes a habit, not a struggle. Do not wait for perfect conditions to focus. There will always be noise, responsibilities, and reasons to delay. Focus is a decision you make in imperfect circumstances. It is the ability to return to your task even after being interrupted, even after failing, even after doubting yourself. This ability to return is more important than never losing focus at all. Consistency beats intensity when it comes to mental discipline. Focus also requires emotional maturity. Many distractions are not external, they are internal. Worry, fear, overthinking, and self-doubt drain attention more than any phone ever could. When you learn to manage your emotions, you reclaim your concentration. You stop reacting to every thought and start choosing which ones deserve your energy. This is not suppression, this is awareness. A focused mind is not empty, it is intentional. Education often teaches multitasking as efficiency, but life teaches that divided attention leads to diluted results. When you give something your full attention, even for a short time, the quality of your effort increases. You begin to experience flow, where work feels meaningful and time feels aligned. Focus turns ordinary effort into extraordinary outcomes. Protecting your focus is an act of self-respect and future care. Every time you focus, you are investing in the person you want to become. You are teaching your brain that your goals matter more than temporary comfort. Focus does not make life boring, it makes it purposeful. It gives weight to your actions and direction to your energy. And as days pass, you begin to notice a quiet confidence building within you, because you are no longer scattered, no longer chasing everything, no longer apologizing for your discipline, but standing firmly in your priorities, returning again and again to what matters most, knowing that focus is not a talent reserved for a few, but a skill available to anyone willing to train their mind daily, choosing progress over distraction, depth over noise, and intention over impulse as you continue to show up with awareness and strength, even when the world constantly invites you to look away. Motivation is emotional, and emotions are unreliable. They rise and fall without warning, which is why building a life on motivation alone will always leave you inconsistent. Some days you feel powerful, inspired, unstoppable, and other days you feel tired, uninspired, and heavy. But discipline does not ask how you feel, it asks what you committed to. Discipline is the bridge between intention and results, and without it, even the strongest dreams remain trapped in your mind. When you understand this, you stop waiting to feel ready and start showing up because you decided to. Discipline is not punishment. It is self-respect in action. It is choosing long-term growth over short-term comfort again and again. People often think discipline makes life rigid, but in reality, it creates freedom. When your actions are planned, your mind is calm. When your routines are clear, your energy is protected. Systems remove the daily debate in your head. You don't waste mental strength asking yourself whether you should act, because the decision has already been made. A system is simply a structure that supports you when motivation disappears. It does not rely on willpower, it relies on consistency. You don't need to feel inspired to follow a system. You need to be committed. Education teaches repetition for mastery, and life is no different. Small actions done daily educate your nervous system to trust you. Each time you keep a promise to yourself, your confidence grows quietly. Not loudly, not dramatically, but deeply. Discipline also teaches patience. You stop demanding instant results and start respecting the process. Growth becomes something you practice, not something you chase. When you follow systems, you are no longer emotional about progress. You are methodical. This is powerful because emotions fluctuate, but systems remain. You begin to understand that success is rarely about intensity and almost always about consistency. Many people fail not because they lack talent, but because they lack structure. Talent without discipline is potential without direction. Systems turn effort into results by creating predictable behavior. Even on your worst days, the system carries you forward. You may move slowly, but you do not stop. This is how long-term transformation happens. Discipline also builds integrity. You become someone who does what they say they will do, even when it is inconvenient. This self-trust changes how you see yourself. You stop needing external validation because you respect your own effort. Discipline creates inner stability, and inner stability creates resilience. When challenges arise, you don't collapse because your foundation is strong. Do not wait for motivation to change your life. Motivation is a visitor, discipline is a resident. Systems are the environment in which discipline thrives. Create routines that support your goals, habits that protect your focus, and structures that reduce chaos. This is not about becoming robotic, it is about becoming reliable. When you rely on discipline instead of feelings, you stop negotiating with excuses and start executing with clarity. Over time, this consistency compounds into confidence, and that confidence fuels momentum, and that momentum reshapes your identity, until one day you realize that you no longer need motivation to move forward, because movement itself has become part of who you are, rooted in commitment, guided by intention, strengthened by repetition, and sustained by the quiet power of discipline that continues to carry you forward, even when the excitement fades and the journey demands endurance. Failure is not a verdict on your worth. It is information about your approach. The moment you personalize failure, you weaken yourself because you turn a lesson into a wound. Life is not trying to punish you, it is trying to teach you. But education only works when you are willing to listen instead of react. Every setback carries data, and those who grow are not the ones who avoid failure, but the ones who know how to study it without shame. Most people are afraid of failure because they attach their identity to outcomes. When something doesn't work, they don't say this strategy failed, they say, I failed. That single sentence can paralyze growth for years. You must separate who you are from what happened. Failure is an event, not a definition. Once you understand this, you stop hiding from mistakes and start examining them with curiosity. Curiosity turns pain into progress. When you treat failure as feedback, emotions no longer control the narrative. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me, you start asking, what is this teaching me? That shift is powerful. It moves you from victimhood to responsibility. Feedback shows you where your systems need adjustment, where your preparation was weak, or where your expectations were unrealistic. This is not humiliation, this is refinement. Education works through correction. No one masters a skill on the first attempt. Repetition, mistakes, and adjustment are part of learning. Life follows the same pattern. Failure slows you down so you can see clearly. It exposes blind spots you couldn't notice while things were working. If you rush past failure without reflection, you repeat it. If you sit with it honestly, you outgrow it. Many people quit right after failing, not because they can't continue, but because they interpret failure as a signal to stop. In reality, failure is often a signal to improve. It is asking you to upgrade your mindset, your strategy, or your discipline. Growth requires the humility to accept that something didn't work, and the courage to try again with adjustments. This combination builds resilience. Failure also trains emotional strength. It teaches you how to regulate disappointment instead of being ruled by it. When you don't run from failure, you develop endurance. You learn that discomfort does not destroy you, it expands you. Each time you recover, you become less fragile and more capable. Confidence stops coming from success alone and starts coming from knowing you can recover. A planned life does not avoid failure, it anticipates it. It includes reflection, review, and recalibration. When things don't go as expected, you don't panic, you analyze. You become strategic instead of emotional. This is maturity. You stop dramatizing setbacks and start using them. Failure loses its power to intimidate you when you realize it is part of the process, not the end of it. When you see failure clearly, you stop fearing it. And when fear leaves, action increases. You become willing to try, to risk, to stretch. This is where growth accelerates. You no longer measure progress by perfection, but by learning. Each setback sharpens your awareness and strengthens your direction. Over time, you begin to trust the process, not because it is easy, but because it is honest. Because it shows you exactly where you need to improve, where you need to grow stronger, wiser, more patient, and more disciplined, allowing each experience to shape you into someone who is not afraid of falling, because they have learned how to rise with understanding, resilience, and clarity drawn from every lesson life places in their path. Your life will not change the moment you understand what to do. It will change the moment you accept that no one else is responsible for doing it for you. Responsibility is the most uncomfortable truth because it removes excuses, and at the same time, it is the most empowering truth because it returns your power. The day you stop waiting for permission, approval, or rescue is the day your life begins to move in a new direction. Until then, potential remains trapped behind blame. Personal responsibility is not about self-criticism. It is about self-leadership. It means recognizing that while you may not control everything that happened to you, you do control how you respond, how you prepare, and how you move forward. Many people confuse responsibility with burden, but responsibility is actually freedom. When you accept that your choices shape your future, you stop feeling helpless. You stop waiting for circumstances to improve and start improving your capacity to handle them. Education without responsibility creates dependency. Knowledge alone does not change a life, application does. You can listen to speeches, read books, and take notes, but transformation only happens when you take ownership of your actions. Responsibility asks hard questions. What am I avoiding? Where am I inconsistent? What habits are keeping me stuck? These questions are uncomfortable, but they are necessary for growth. Avoiding them may feel safe, but it keeps you small. When you take responsibility, you stop outsourcing your direction. You no longer blame time, people, or luck for where you are. This does not mean ignoring injustice or difficulty. It means refusing to let them define you. You acknowledge reality without surrendering to it. This mindset builds strength. You become solution-oriented instead of complaint-oriented. RGUI shifts from excuses to execution. Responsibility also builds self-respect. Each time you do what you said you would do, even when it's hard, you reinforce trust in yourself. This trust becomes the foundation of confidence, not the loud kind that seeks attention, but the quiet kind that stands firm. You stop needing validation because your effort speaks for itself. You know who you are because you have proven it to yourself through action. A responsible life is intentional. You plan, you reflect, you adjust, you don't drift. You understand that discipline, focus, and patience are choices, not talents. When mistakes happen, you don't collapse, you correct. When progress is slow, you don't quit, you refine. Responsibility keeps you moving even when motivation disappears, because your commitment is deeper than your mood. Taking responsibility also means accepting that growth takes time. You stop rushing outcomes and start respecting process. You become patient with results but strict with effort. This balance is powerful. It keeps you grounded without making you complacent. You learn to lead yourself before trying to lead others. Your future is not waiting to be discovered. It is waiting to be chosen. Responsibility is the moment you stop pointing outward and start looking inward with honesty and courage. It is the moment you say, "This is my life, and I will not waste it waiting for ideal conditions." From that moment forward, every decision becomes a vote for the person you are becoming. Every action becomes a step in a direction you consciously selected. And every challenge becomes an opportunity to practice leadership over your own thoughts, habits, and choices, understanding that no one else can walk this path for you. No one else can carry your discipline. No one else can choose your direction. And that is not a limitation, but a powerful truth that places your future firmly in your own hands.